This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website where you can listen to the X-Zone 724-365, www.xzoneradiotv.com. The verdict has been handed down by the grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri. No indictment for Officer Wilson. Now, despite pleas by civic leaders as well as religious leaders to have a peaceful demonstration, well, right now it looks like they're rioting in Ferguson. You have tear gas being deployed, firebombs being tossed, you have the ATF, you have the FBI, you have other members of law enforcement trying to keep the situation in hand. But at this point, they are not having very good luck. A number of reporters have been injured by the protesters who are throwing bottles and other projectiles into the law enforcement area, and that's where the reporters are. Tear gas has been deployed. It's just a scene out of something that I've never seen or expected to see because of racial tensions rising again. My guest this hour is Lee Boyland, and we've had the pleasure of Lee on the show many times. He is the author of Revolution 2016, Take Back America, and his website is LeeBoylandBooks.com. And Lee, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's not a good night for anybody, but it's unfortunate what's going on. Mm-hmm. People don't want to respect the law. And the rule of law is simple, that we went through the process in an extremely detailed manner. The evidence has been weighed, been evaluated, and the answer comes out that the young man, who, by the way, is 6'4", weighed 297 pounds. He's not a child, or he's the biggest child in the world, one or the other.
Yeah.
Robbed a store, strong-armed. He pushed this little, looked like a Pakistani, he may have been something else, but he grabbed him, looked like he put his hand around his neck, but didn't squeeze, and just shoved him back on the counter, walked out the door carrying materials he didn't want to pay for, cigars and some other stuff. He and his friend, the robbers, are walking down the middle of a street. Now, the police report comes out, and the officer, Wilson, had encountered them first. He knew there was a robbery, but he had no description of the suspects.
Lee, I just want to... Lee,
he encountered these two black men.
Lee, I just have to cut in here. I just have to cut in here because we're getting reports there's gunfire now being heard on the Ferguson streets.
I don't have the sound on all night. I'm watching the screen on Fox, but I don't have any sound. Anyway, he stops them and tells them to get out of the street. That's all he told them. He said, walk on the sidewalk. Don't walk down the middle of the street. Then he gets the report, and he realizes the big one matches the description. Red hat, yellow socks, shorts, backs his vehicle up to block the street, and they come over to the window of his SUV, and apparently he was trying to get out of the SUV, the police officer, and and a fight occurs. And this guy is 6'4". He's 297 pounds. Mm-hmm. He pushes the policeman back down into the vehicle, and they start struggling. And there's a struggle over the officer's gun, and it discharges twice inside the vehicle. One bullet grazed Michael Brown's thumb, and the other one, they don't know where it went. They recovered the bullet in the door of the car. Then the young man then takes off running, and the officer starts to pursue him. So far, so good. Then the Brown turns around and starts back toward the police officer. Now he has struck the police officer with his fist. He has wrestled with him for his gun, and when he starts back, the officer begins firing, and it was a string of shots fired, and he hit him apparently a couple of times. The Brown stops, and then he charges the officer. That's basically what was reported as the evidence that checked out. And the officer shot him again, and he killed him this time. The answer here is don't rob stores. If you don't rob stores and strike policemen in the face with your fist, you won't get shot.
But what do you think?
What's so hard to understand?
What do you think the core of the problem is in Ferguson? Was it the way that the investigation was handled? Was it the way that the perpetrator was taken down? Or was this the excuse that minorities were looking for?
It's the excuse that a group of minorities were looking for. I don't think the average black, African-American, whichever you prefer, citizen was in on this, but there was a group that was... Basically, they're the ones that are the troublemakers.
All right, Lee, stand by.
You have them everywhere. They jumped on this with both feet.
Stand by. We've got to take our commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. My name's Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Nita Hickok is an expert in exorcisms, psychic warfare, soul healing, angelology, soul retrieval, demonology, energy healing, long-distance healing, astral healing, and much more. Nita is an interfaith minister because she believes all gods and goddesses are valid and that they are part of one divine force that is incomprehensible to us who are incarnated upon this earth. Nita has been doing astral healing, distant healing, spirit release, exorcism, house cleansing and blessings, soul restoring and revival, psychic vampire removal and curse removal, and much more for over 40 years. For more information or to contact Nita Hickok, visit her website at www.astralhealer.com. That's www.astralhealer.com.
Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464. Welcome back, everyone. The grand jury this evening decided not to indict Officer Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri. They were waiting for problems to start, and problems are going rampant. A number of police cars have been vandalized, a number of arrests, a number of injuries, gunshots have been heard, tear gas has been fired. It's a riot scene. We're watching a number of video feeds here in our newsroom. Joining me on the phone is Lee Boyland. He is the author of Revolution 2016, Take Back America. And Lee, you and I were talking about a situation that you saw during what was it, the 60s and the Watts riots?
Well, the Watts riots. I was flying out of Los Angeles when it was going on and landed in Washington D.C. And from the airplane as you came into Dulles, you could see the city burning.
Wow.
And then later that week, I flew up to Newark to land at the Newark airport, and I could see Newark burning. And what it is it's insurrection. You have people who will only respect the law if the law is working in their benefit, and then if they don't like the law because it's stopping them from doing something they want to do, we have this, what we're seeing right now in Ferguson, Missouri. We're seeing most of these, well, I won't say most, but a large portion of the ones causing the trouble are not from Ferguson, Missouri, or even from Missouri. They're from other states that came there just for this purpose. They've been waiting.
But what do you do about the other organizations and organizers? For example, Reverend Sharpton and his National Action Network. Didn't they schedule some 25 demonstrations in other cities tonight?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. He's setting up, this is going to probably start in the other cities. And there's no excuse for that.
No.
That's absolutely no excuse. You should yank this guy in. You should charge him with causing an insurrection and put him on trial. If we're a nation of laws, then the laws have to be enforced. And that's the problem with our administration, even though what the president just said, he doesn't mean it. But he made statements to stir this up when the first shooting occurred.
But how can you say, how can you expect people to follow the rule of the law when the president of the United States doesn't even follow the rules of the law and decides to pass laws on his own without going through Congress and Senate?
That's where we are, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's exactly where we are. Well said. And I don't know, but this new Congress is going to keep pushing. I really believe the man is pushing to be they're calling him the emperor. Well, that's as good a word as any. I had used king or dictator, but it's all one and the same, really. What we now have an attorney general who has said he's resigned, but he won't leave office until the replacement is, the Senate has to approve the replacement. We have a no Surgeon General, same reason.
Yeah.
Now he's just fired our Secretary of Defense, who started to stand up to him and tell him that what he's doing makes no sense and he's getting people killed for no reason, which he's been doing since he took office. And he fires the Secretary of Defense. So now the new Congress is faced with approving a Secretary of Defense, a Surgeon General, and a Attorney General. There's probably going to be more. And he's going to keep sending people that they won't approve. I mean, this is going to get worse in our country. It really is. It's going to be a war between the new Congress, Senate and House, and the President. And he is daring them to impeach him. He really believes that nobody can impeach him. And I don't know how much longer this is going to go on before impeachment really does happen, because I think it's going to if he doesn't change his ways.
I know that you've got your fingers on the pulse of what's going on in the world today, Lee, and it's always great hearing your lookout on what things are happening. Now, here we are up in Canada. We're watching what's going on in the States. The way that this has been handled was like, all right, we're a minority. We know how to push the buttons. We know you can't do anything against us, because if you do, it's all part of your racial profiling us. Like, what the heck is going on?
It's been worn out. There was a time when the Black cause, Martin Luther King's time, and I would have marched with him, Martin Luther King, because what was happening wasn't right.
You're right.
But now it's just an excuse. Like, we're black, you can't do anything to us. We have special privileges. And what happens is these young people like Michael Brown get it in their head that they can do what they want because nobody dares do anything, because we have a black attorney general, we have a black president, and they have let other blacks get by with all kinds of stuff. Remember when we first had our elections and the attorney general did not prosecute the Black Panthers? They were standing around polling places with billy clubs, intimidating people, and nothing was done about it. And it's just gotten worse, and it's going to continue to get worse. I'm afraid.
Now, in all fairness, Lee, We can't use a broad paintbrush and paint everybody the same color here.
No, you can't. And,
because there are some, they're just victims of circumstance because of their either their color, their creed, their language, whatever. It's the minority that causes this crap to happen.
Yeah, and I don't know how you get through to it, but if you look at our Congress, I got a cartoon in the other day. These 4 panels on the top and 4 panels on the bottom, and it says the Black Caucus, and there's a picture of a group of the senators and congressmen.
Yeah.
And then it says the blank. Then all the rest of the pictures were blank, and it says the Spanish Caucus, the Oriental Caucus, the Italian Caucus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only caucus by race in the Congress is the Black Caucus. Now that tells you something in itself.
Yeah. What did you think of the immigration speech he gave the other night, and the 5 million people that are basically going to be allowed to stay for 3 more years?
Well, when you analyze it, it says, okay, to get this, I've got to come and sign up. Mm-hmm. And then I can be deported because you know who I am, you've got all my information, and I've got to pay taxes, and you can boot me out in 3 years. But if I don't sign up, I can stay here indefinitely.
I didn't look at it that way, but that's true, isn't it?
I mean, think about it. It makes absolutely no sense for any of these people to sign up with this program, because what they really done is said, I have identified myself, and Jose over there is just going to keep quiet. And Jose's been here for 8 years, and he's planning on staying. He's not going home.
Tell me, as an American, as a taxpayer, as someone who served your country with great pride and dignity, how do you feel knowing that there are, 10 million people who are in your country illegally, feeding off of your resources that many Americans do without?
And making demands for more and getting their demands met.
Yeah.
It makes me sick at my stomach. I'm ashamed.
Where did it go wrongly?
It started going wrong, some people go all the way back to Woodrow Wilson. I think, in my mind, when I saw the turning point was in the 1960s, and I was in the military and just finishing my service, and we were in San Francisco area, and we started seeing the flower children dancing and smoking pot and shooting LSD, and instead of their parents yanking them out of school and saying, if you're going to waste my money, go get a job, which is what my father would have done.
Mine too.
They just let them go. Now, these are the people that are now the progressive liberals that are in the Congress, that are in our schools, that are in our universities, that are making these crazy laws and keep coming up with this stupid approach of that, well, we just keep handing money out.
Yeah.
And they have this attitude that we just keep borrowing money so we can give it away to people. It's mind-boggling. And that's what we're doing. We're borrowing money, and we're even giving the money back to the people we borrowed it from. Now, can you imagine that you could make a loan to me at interest, and I'm going to pay you interest and have to pay you the money back, and then I turn around and give you part of it back just because you're there?
No.
That's what we're doing. This is how crazy we have gotten in this country. And what we're seeing on the TV screens right now, the fires raging, we're just seeing the beginning of this. Because the people that are doing this burning right now think they are entitled to anything they want. There goes a bicycle. Anything they want. They're going to keep at it. They're going to demand more and more demands. And at some point in time, I'm afraid we will see a revolution. I wrote this book as a satire on what could happen, but boy, it's getting closer to the truth every day.
Isn't it?
I'm getting scared of my own work at this point. And I've had some other people call me and said, that's not funny anymore. It's happening.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be a tongue-in-cheek, embarrassing, make fun of the people, but unfortunately, description of something similar to this I wrote in the story in a fictitious town in Alabama called Mudford.
Right.
There's no such town, where Reverend Dolson showed up with his protesters and tried to burn down the town, and for his trouble, he got shot.
Lee, hold on. We're just going to go live here for a second. We're just going to, because apparently something is happening, we're just going to cue it up. And
Chris Cuomo is there live in Ferguson, and what you're looking at is the aftermath of the grand jury deciding not to indict Officer Wilson. You heard that news about an hour ago from now, and wow, look at it there. The tear gas was dispersing. You heard our very own Chris Cuomo there saying this is going to get bad. We have Jake Tapper there live in the field. I believe we can hear him. Jake, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. We're standing outside Beauty World. I think I'm here. Can you hear me? This is Jake.
Yes, I got you, Jake. This is Susan. Go ahead.
Hey, Susan. So we're standing outside this store in South Florissant, Beauty World, which somebody has broken into, and we've been watching people running in and out and stealing things. This gentleman here is trying to keep people out. There are a lot of calls.
there you go. The looting has started now.
Yep. And a lot of people bought weapons, and they're going to be in those stores, and they're going to break into a store, and they're going to run into a 12-gauge shotgun or equivalent.
Listen, Lee, you and I
bound to happen.
Lee, you and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Exo Nation. Lee Boyland is my special guest to this hour. As I said, the verdict is in. The grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri, has decided not to indict Officer Wilson. We'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue keeping our eyes and ears open on what is happening in Ferguson, Missouri, with our guest this hour, Lee Boyland. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Police are still pushing down the street in their vehicles, telling people to disperse. See down there?
My phone.
People running away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. The ability to access the knowledge of the universe is much easier for us to access than we may believe. Brad Johnson, conscious matrix communicator, is one of these unique individuals who is able to access a strong connection to the universal mind. Through his connection, Brad has assisted thousands of clients from all over the world through natural intuitive assistance. The intuitive information received is vast, covering a wide range of subjects. Brad's innate ability includes being able to access one's own universal matrix to help them realize their potential to create a life of profound greatness. One-on-one private sessions with Brad Johnson are available to anyone from around the world. Brad is also a proficiently trained psychic, Akashic Records reader, an online spiritual teacher, founder of his own unique and powerful healing system, Body Regeneration Healing, as well as a professional conscious channeler in communication with his own higher self-consciousness known as Adronis. For more information or to book a service appointment with Brad Johnson, visit his website at www.consciousmatrix.com. That's www.consciousmatrix.com.
You not hearing?
I'm here, yes.
Ben, this is Susan Hendricks. Do you have me with CNN in Atlanta? Ben, do you got me?
Well, you see, even CNN has technical problems at time, and I must say tonight they're doing a fascinating job of taking the footage and the news reporting.
Too.
Yeah. Right now we're watching the audio and video feeds. Lee Boyland, who is my guest, is keeping his eye on Fox. I have CNN, ABC, CBS, and the raw satellite feeds, and it is pandemonium in Ferguson, Missouri. The grand jury decided not to indict Officer Wilson. Shortly after the announcement was made by Mr. McCulloch, the DA, all hell broke loose. Police cars have been demolished. Stores are being looted. Cars are on fire. Police are using tear gas. Mind you, they were the recipient of projectiles by the demonstrators. And all the demonstrators really had to do was keep the law, keep the peace. Nobody wanted to take away their right to assembly. No one. But they decided to try and push it further, and they did. And now it's a riot. It is a plain, full-blown riot. The police are now using beanbags as a non-lethal method of trying to bring peace and order back to Ferguson. Lee, you're watching it. What do you think?
Yes, I am.
What do you think,
Backed
Lee?
up, and there's a car burning. It's on Fox, they're showing it just almost burned out. The police cars are going by it. What we have is the kind of people that went to occupy New York, that caused the problems at the conventions. Mm-hmm. We have professional
the car just blew up.
troublemakers.
A car just blew up.
Yeah. Yep, there's another one.
Yep.
Yeah, we have professional troublemakers that go from one city to another that instigate and get these riots started, and they're insurrectionists. And it's time we treat them as such.
Do you think that the Western societies have become too politically correct?
Oh, absolutely. Politically correct is killing us.
Yeah.
You can't even describe anything anymore because you're liable to offend somebody. And there's no end to the stupidity that goes on. We had the mayor of Dallas, Texas, I believe it was, that wanted to make all bathrooms non-gender so you can wander in and out of each other's bathrooms whenever you want, including the schools. Open the showers up for the boys and girls. Yeah. And somebody else said they didn't want to get rid of gender, and they were going to call the children pink penguins, that instead of referring to them as a boy or a girl because that was offensive to somebody.
Well, look what happened in the state of Maryland. They're not calling it Christmas holidays. They're calling them winter holidays because Christmas is offensive to some members of society.
And there was a school in Boston. I can believe it in Boston. That was going to take the elementary schools to see the Nutcracker Ballet. They did it every year.
Yeah.
This year they decided not to do it because there was a Christmas tree on the stage and it could terrorize the children.
How can a Christmas tree terrorize anyone?
Yeah, this is the absolute stupidity of the liberals. There is nothing. There's no limit. Let's put it. It's like the infinity. They can keep coming up with stupid ideas. No matter what you let them do, they'll come up with a better stupid idea the next day, and then you have to do it, and it goes on and on and on. Yeah, Fox just lost the signal again.
Yeah, it's really horrific to see what's going on here. This reminds me of what goes on in the Middle East, for goodness sake, not in the heart of America, for gosh sake.
No, and I could understand people getting upset when Martin Luther King was assassinated. That was definitely something to get upset about. Same with President Kennedy. But we didn't burn the cities down. No, you get upset and you try to figure out why did it happen, who did it, and what can you do about it. But this is just rioting for fun. This is the radical, in-your-face left that that's all they want to do. They want total anarchy. They want no laws except their laws, of course. And they want to destroy everything that's part of government. They just want, I don't know what they want. They can't ever articulate anything that makes sense. They just want total chaos, and they thrive on total chaos. And that's what we've got.
Let me ask you this question, Lee. Let me ask you this. How much responsibility should the media get for what is going on in Ferguson tonight?
I'd give them a better than 50% responsibility, probably closer to 75%.
Because if the media wasn't giving this national and international coverage, these people wouldn't be doing what they're doing, in my opinion. Because the media is stoking what is going on.
Did you watch the Attorney General, the city attorney McCulloch's news conference where he described what the grand jury and the reason for the decision?
Yep.
And the questions that were asked by some of the reporters?
Yes.
They were baiting questions, like they were just trying to stir up trouble. They weren't asking for details that made sense or this explained why it had to be done because of, a person has to take responsibility for their actions. The brown boy started the altercation. He robs a store, and then he punches a policeman and gets in a struggle for a gun, and shots are fired, and then he runs away and then turns around and charges the policeman twice. And he was responsible for his actions, nobody else.
I think it's a shame that this officer is forced to resign. He'll never get another job on another police force anywhere in the world.
Probably right.
To me, that is a crime because he did the job. You've got all these protesters there who are really big in a gang. Let them put on a badge and carry a gun. Let them become politicians. Let them become a positive influence on society. Let them give them responsibility. But they don't. They don't want it. They won't join the police force. They won't run for politics. But they'll certainly cause enough crap.
That's what they're good at. That is, they're the radical. That's the radical element that has grown in this country since the 1960s because we never put the stop to it. We never put an end to it. I can't imagine what would have happened back in the Founding Fathers' days if something like this had happened.
It was called.
I'm trying to remember the general details. I think it was, the trader that sold out West Point. What was his name? Benedict Arnold. Mm-hmm. Benedict Arnold was hounded by enemies into doing, there's still no excuse for what he did. But the politician in Philadelphia, it was sort of like the old machines, political machines, did not like Arnold, and he sent a gang out to his house. I think they were masquerading as police or local militia, and they were firing into Benedict Arnold's house. And George Washington arrived with a company of his troops. And if the story is correct, and I'm not positive that it is, but it sounds like something he would do, he lined up the people that were shooting into the house and picked every third man, put them against the wall, and told the other two men that they were the firing squad and to execute them. And there was no more problems in Philadelphia.
We're just getting news, Lee, that the crowds are dispersing. It seems that the law enforcement agencies were able to disperse the crowds, and they're dispersing now. That doesn't mean they're not going to congregate somewhere else and start all over again, but looks like the law enforcement... No, and it doesn't mean they won't go to another part of the city. I know there's lots of areas around there. This is a small... community within the greater St. Louis area. Mm-hmm. And Creve Coeur is not too far from there, which is an upscale neighborhood. Yeah. I've got to tell you something. I'm to see the amount of coverage that the Brown family has been getting and how certain media outlets, in my opinion, have tried to sway public opinion towards the Brown family, and my condolences go to them for losing their son. Don't get me wrong. However, what about Wilson? How about the cop? He was just doing his job. And when you watch the videotape of Brown in that convenience store, he reminded me of a bully.
Of course he was a bully. Yeah. He was a big man, a huge man. I don't have sympathy for Brown's parents. Nobody's mentioned it, but they went to Switzerland and filed a protest against the United States with the United Nations I don't remember the details. I didn't read it. But they made a formal charge in the UN against the United States for the murder of their child.
You've got to
Trayvon Martin's parents got on the media bandwagon, and they were all over the country raising money and causing trouble.
Yeah.
There was another example of a young man who was a very large young man that attacked a smaller man, and he was wrong. Both of these were wrong. Now, there was a different shooting that happened in Jacksonville, Florida. I can't remember the names, but a white man fired into a SUV with some black kids in it. You remember that story?
At the gas station, right.
Hey, he got convicted.
Yep.
He got convicted. It wasn't a black jury that convicted him. It was a mixed jury. I would have convicted him based on the information that was made available. Now, I don't know whether it was all true or not, or if there was more.
All right, the protest.
But he was definitely,
we're just
he
watching.
Was definitely guilty of manslaughter.
We're just watching a news feed here, and the protesters are now at a liquor store, breaking into the liquor store and looting it. Unreal.
Yes, it is. Well, they haven't broken in yet. They're trying to. They got these hands up, don't shoot posters all over Ferguson Market and Liquor. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if there's anybody in there with a shotgun. It's going to happen at some point in time.
I'm surprised with the number of... they're coming out with bottles and everything now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. You know, I'm surprised with the number of
weapons. There they go. Yep.
I'm surprised with the number of weapons that have been sold over the last 109 days in Ferguson that there hasn't been more violence yet.
Well, these people are in their homes. They're waiting. They're not going to go to. They're not going to go out and face the demonstrators. That's the law enforcement's job. Mm-hmm. But if it comes to the neighborhoods and they start throwing firebombs at houses, you're going to see some real shooting.
Yeah. You know,
I know if somebody throws a firebomb at my house, they're going to die.
When I look at the pictures that are coming across the news feeds of the expressions of happiness, glee, everybody's smiling, coming out of that liquor store holding stuff that is stolen.
Hey, looting's fun. Those aren't the people that are there to demonstrate what they think is a wrong. Those are the people that are there for the fun of looting.
Since when is breaking the law fun?
Well, when you can steal all you can carry and nobody does anything to you.
Oh, wait a minute.
Watch other people do it, then it starts to get to be fun.
Oh, yeah, wait a minute. The store where cigars were stolen just before the shooting was at the Ferguson Market and Liquor. That's why
it was.
Yeah, that's why they're looting it.
They're looting it again. Yep.
Oh, for God's sake!
And there's some poor guy that's got his life savings and his life's work in that little store, and he's being destroyed by happy black people who think it's fun. And for some reason, they can't make any connection in their minds to the fact that what they're doing is causing some other person grief. There they go with handfuls of liquor bottles. Yep.
It's amazing.
I don't see a policeman around there. Not a one.
That's true. There are no policemen in the area.
Nope. The whole area is open for them. They got cars pulled up and they're loading the goods into cars. Sounds like the book I wrote about Chicago, remember?
I sure do. Yeah.
They hijacked. They had the opportunity, so they hijacked SUVs and went to the suburbs and looted the really expensive homes around Chicago. And see, I think that's what the people were buying guns are the ones that live in this area, and they're going to say, okay, we're not going down and protect Ferguson. That's the job of the law enforcement. But when you come to my neighborhood and you come to my door, then the shooting starts.
Well, once again, I feel so bad for Officer Wilson. I feel so bad for him. He, and the media made a big thing about him today because he got married. Why isn't he allowed to be married? So he married a fellow officer. What's wrong with that, for God's sake? Like, he's got to live in hiding because he did something that he's paid to do, protecting the lives of other people.
They put a bounty on his head. Here's the guy with the guy mask on again. He's been all over Yeah, this is absolutely disgusting that our country has come to this, and that we're seeing this.
All right, Lee, stand by. We are going to go to the live feed as we get ready for our next break.
If I can get a good camera angle here. But the police car that's in flames, you can see flickers of it down the street here. Can you see? Oh, let's get over here. Hold on one sec.
I can't see it.
And I'm told that we're looking at pictures also of looting of the store where this whole thing began, Ferguson Liquor. But there you go. There's the St. Louis, I believe the St. Louis County police car that earlier tonight was vandalized and then set on fire. You can see the flames just piercing the sky. It's a conflagration. And obviously police and state troopers wearing their riot gear, standing here in front of the City of Ferguson Police Department and Municipal Court as violence has erupted in Ferguson, not unexpectedly but disappointingly, after the grand jury failed to deliver a verdict against Officer Darren Wilson. Now we're being told to move. Fire trucks are coming out, so we're told that we're going to get out of the way of the fire trucks. Watch out there? Okay. It began peacefully enough earlier outside, Don, as you know, with the crowd gathering outside.
We'll be back on the other side of this break. Exo Nation, don't go away.
But then, as time passed and it became clear from the prosecutor, things changed. Don Lemon, back to you.
Hi, this is Rob McConnell, just letting you know that the X-Chronicles newspaper is now available online at www.xzonebookclub.com. All past editions and current editions of the X-Chronicles newspaper are available for 99 cents. That's www.xzonebookclub.com, and that's 99 cents U.S. per edition. And don't forget, the X-Zone store is now open as well for all of your Exo Nation merchandise. www.thexzonestore.com. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
choose an expletive. They were like, this is our stuff that you're doing this to. Why are you doing this? And so some of them stopped, and then everyone ran out the store. But just people running back and forth all over the street from where the Ferguson market, breaking in there, targeting different locations here. And it is mayhem. I mean, there's a car backing down the street in the middle of the street right here. It's mayhem out here. And from where I'm standing, I don't see one police officer. It's completely just mayhem, people running around and trying to break into these different stores and going in and out. It's unbelievable how it looks out here right now. And the fact that you have young people going up to other people telling them to stop, to respect their own community. It is an unbelievable scene out here tonight.
Hey, why come they ain't showing none of this shit on the news? They literally showing TV.
Okay, sure. Stephanie Elam, where are you exactly right now?
Right now, I'm standing out beside the McDonald's, and people are throwing stuff at me right now.
There you go, Exo Nation. Lee Boyland is our special guest. Now the protesters are throwing objects at the media. So this is crazy, Lee. Is this the fuse that's going to ignite the bomb?
It could be. Fox just put a bulletin up that riots have started in other cities. They didn't say who or where.
Unreal.
Yeah, I hate to be brutal sounding, but there comes a time when you lock and load, fix bayonets, and say, shoot looters.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it doesn't take very long for the whole thing to stop. It's amazing how fast it will stop. But as long as you can, tear stores open and steal and take the stuff home and nobody stops you, this is the same thing as pouring gasoline on the burning fires.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stop it. You have to make an example, and we're afraid to do that.
Where do you think it'll end?
I don't know. I think the governor should have had the National Guard out.
But I thought he did have the National Guard there. He declared a state of emergency last week.
Yeah. I would have had the National Guard out lining the streets and tell them, just announce it. If shots are fired or fire bombs are thrown, we will use live ammunition. Looters will be shot. If you loot stores, you will be shot coming out. That's the new rules. Go home.
Think that might...
The people that have any sense that aren't out there just out for the looting, they will go home. They should have gone home already. They should see what's going on around them. And you're not going to stop these crazy people because they came here to do this. They've been waiting for months for the opportunity to do this.
Hey, Lee, as always, whenever we're together, time goes by so fast, my friend. Listen, I want to thank you so much. Quickly, give our listeners your website.
Lee Boyland, Boyland books, books.com. And Revolution 2016 is still a story that's very relevant to what's going on in our unfortunate country today.
Lee, you take care of yourself, my friend. Thanks very much for sharing this hour with me. Bye-bye, Lee. Things are still going crazy in Ferguson, Missouri, Exo Nation. Looting, fires, shots fired. We're just going to join the CNN feed, and we'll be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away.
Now is a reorganizing of the protesters, and they are actively antagonizing the police to not be here and for their tactics.
And Sam, it's not a very big crowd now. It was a large crowd earlier. Right. The crowd is now smaller.
Yeah, I think people should understand that what's going on now is you have really boiled this thing down to a very small number of hardcore protesters and then social media video bloggers who are now kind of in a standoff with a very large number of law enforcement. I think one of the things I thought was most disturbing was there was an attempt to get a woman who had succumbed, and they carried her on their shoulders, and they were screaming, medic, medic, medic. But as they came toward the police opened fire with flashbangs and tear gas. Communications have completely broken down out here.
The shot right behind us. So anyway, look behind us. These are the police in their tactical gear here, right in front of the Ferguson Police Department. We saw a big number of people earlier, and again.